Hello guys, welcome to ND Academy. In this video, we will create a simple chat application using Android and AWS Amplify. Let's see how the app is working. First of all, user has to log in. If the user doesn't have an account, then he can simply create a new account by giving the name, email and the password. Once the sign up process is completed, a confirmation code will be sent to the given email. As you can see, we can provide the code that we received. After that, we will head over to the chat screen. Then we can continue messaging with other users. Now let's see how our app is working behind the scene. So this is our Android app. We will install the Amplify plugins to our app. Amplify is a set of tools and services that can be used together to build a scalable full-stack application. So we can use many AWS services with Amplify without doing so many configuration stuff. And in our app, we will use Amazon Cognito, which is a simple user identity and data synchronization service that help us to securely manage and synchronize app data for users. So we will use this service as a authenticate server users. And once a user is authenticated, the user has to send messages and get live updated. So where do we store messages? For that, we will use AppSync. AppSync is an enterprise level fully managed GraphQL service with real-time data syncing and offline programming features. And so we will use AppSync GraphQL API to send messages to the backend and push the chat updates to the other users. And this is BTL, which is a translator that translate GraphQL request and send from AppSync into a request, and it saves data where we want. And finally, we will use Amazon DynamoDB as a database. Now, I hope you guys understand this. Let's go ahead and start developing our app. Let's just create an Android app. I'm gonna give empty activity, give the name as chatme, select the language Java, and then to run our Android app we need to set the API level as 25. So we're gonna give 25 and then hit finish. Secondly, let's add dependencies to project level Gradle file like this. And then sync. Then go to module level build.gradle and set the compiler option as like this, and add Amplify core dependency, and then add the Amplify API and data store dependency, and finally auth cognito dependency. We have downloaded the dependencies. If we go to this Amplify configuration file, we cannot see any content. This file contains all the necessary details such as API URLs, client IDs, and secrets. Let's go ahead and add a configuration details using Amplify init command. I'm gonna open up a new terminal and type Amplify init. Just give the dev environment and put the IDE as IntelliJ. It will ask several questions like AWS profile. Just give the default one. Let's initialize Amplify authentication using Amplify add auth. Just give the default configuration, and the sign method is email based login, and select I am done. We configured Amplify authentication. Let's add Amplify data store. We can do that using Amplify add API. But in Amplify Android, it initially creates Amplify API plugin. So we don't need to add it again. So if we switch to project view like this, inside Amplify folder, and as you can see, API and auth has been added, and inside this API folder schema.graphql file, it contains all the schema details. I'm gonna remove all the things and first define user model. Type ID and name like this. Let's just hold for now, and next I'm gonna define message model and provide the field ID and content like this. And next we should define the date. Instead of putting string as a type, there's a special data type to define date. Go to AWS documentation, and as you can see, there are a couple of data types, and so we will use AWS date time. Then let's add a relationship between these two models. For a user, there are multiple messages, so I'm using an list like this, and then use a connection annotation and give a name to that common for two models, and then copy it, and then under messages I will use user model like this. Okay, next what we have to do is we should add security for these models. We can do that using auth annotation. So I'm just gonna I forgot to mention the model annotation in user model, and then I'm gonna add auth, and as the rule I'm gonna pass a few parameters. First one is allow, and this one should be owner, and then as the operations we will give create, delete and update. This means that only the owner is allowed to perform this operation, and other than that, like read operation, it can be done by any authenticated users. I have reformatted the code. Next, what we need to do is we should deploy these changes to Amplify. We can do that using this Amplify Gradle task, but for now I'm using terminal and type Amplify push auth. Let's see. Okay, I think there's some error occurred. The reason is we haven't specified the user pool for API, so we should specify that first. So we can use Amplify update API and select the GraphQL and select work through all configuration, and then the authentication type is Amazon Cognito user pool, and then select I am done. Okay, let's try that again. Just type Amplify push and give the default options like this, and let's just wait until it is finished. Okay, we have pushed the settings. The last thing we need to do before coding is that generating the model classes. So we can do that using this model gen Gradle task. That's it. Okay, as you can see, we have generated the file like this. Let me give you a quick explanation about the flow of our app. First, our app will run Amplify app class, which is a application class, and it runs only one time, and it configures all the AWS services that we are going to use, and after that it will push to the main activity. And in the main activity we will check whether if there's a user currently logged in. If so, we can directly uh, push to the chat activity, and that means a chat is screen, and otherwise we will uh, push to login activity. And in the login activity he has two options. One is login, and if the user login, and it will go to chat activity. Otherwise he has to sign up, and he has to go to the sign up page. We call it join, and after successfully signing up, we'll go to the confirmation page, and in the confirmation page he has to give the confirmation code, and if the confirmation code is successfully given and it is correct, we will head over to the chat activity. I'm gonna go to android manifest.xml file, and under the application tag I'm gonna give the class name as Amplify app. This is an application class, and we should provide the tools property like this. Then I'm using the suggestion to create this class, and this class extends application superclass. Then I'm gonna override the onCreate method and type amplify add plugin, and we should first provide the amplify data store plugin because we are using that plugin, and for the model provider we will give amplify model provider instance. Then we will add the plugin amplify AWS API plugin, and then finally we will add AWS Cognito plugin. After that we will configure the amplify instance by providing the application context. After finally done, we will print out the configured message, and then we will surround it with try-catch block. Then let's test the app. As you can see, the configured message is printed. That means our app is successfully configured. I'm gonna just change the colors like this, and as you can see it gives us the nice orange color. Let's check whether if there's any user login or not. Head over to main activity, and then just get the amplify auth and get current user. And if this object is null, that means we should go to the login page. That means there's no any user login. Otherwise we should redirect to the chat screen as this, and then finally we will start the activity like this, and we will pass the finish activity. Then let's create a login activity like this and chat activity like this. Okay, so then let's create a new intent like this to initialize the login activity. After that we will create another intent to initialize the chat activity. So we will use the same variable and then start the activity by passing the intent. Next thing what we want to do is implementing the login activity. So I'm not gonna take much time on creating the use interfaces. So I'm just paste the content like this, and there are two methods. One is for when the user press the login button, and the other one is for when user press the join button. Let's implement like this. As you can see, there are two text fields. One is for containing the email, and the other one is for taking the password. First, I'm gonna implement the login method. First, I'm gonna take the email and password from the text field. So I'm gonna use find by ID, took the email, and then gonna take the password. After that, I want to use amplify auth.sign-in method to sign into the system, and then pass the email and password values from the text fields like this. As you can see, I'm using txt password, get text, and toString. After that, when everything is completed, we should pass the onSuccess method. So I'm gonna use a separate method for that. So I'm just gonna use on login success method, and then I'm gonna use on login error method. So let's implement those two methods. Okay, yeah. After that, what I want to do is I should redirect to the chat activity. I'm gonna create a new intent and pass the current object like this, and then you pass the chat activity. Okay, then start activity like this. That's all we need to do. Otherwise, what we want to do is we should print the error message. So I'm gonna use toast, Android toast, as you already know about that. So I'm gonna pass the error message like this, message, and the toast duration should be a long one, and finally pass the show method. And this method should be run under the main thread, so UI thread. So I'm gonna wrap it using run it on UI thread method like this. Let's create a join activity first, and then we will pass the class using an instance to start the join activity. So I'm gonna do the same thing as before. Okay, let's test our app. So I'm gonna put a breakpoint on login error method. So we right now we haven't implemented the join activity, so I'm just gonna press the login button. If we press the login button, as you can see, without any email or password, we will get an error like this. So that means we will print out an error message using a toast. Let's implement the join activity. So I'm just gonna paste all the content as before, and as you can see, there are three text fields. One is for taking the name, and the other one is for taking the email and the password. And as you can see, there are the field ID names, and there's a method called onPressJoin. I'm just gonna paste the same thing as I did before, and for now I'm gonna use amplify auth.signup method. And this method, first we should provide the email. So email and the username is same, so I'm just gonna pass the email like this. And but as for a user attribute, we should provide the email as a user attribute. As you can see, there are a bunch of other attributes, pre-built attributes. I'm just gonna build the attributes, and then I'm just gonna pass the success method and the join error method. Let's create the join success method and the error method. And first I'm gonna implement the error method as I did before. Just print out the error message using a toast. After that, what we need to do is we should after the login success, we should pass into email confirmation screen. So we should create a new activity called email confirmation activity like this, and then we should pass the email confirmation activity as a parameter like this. Just create a new intent and then start activity. So I'm just gonna go to the layout, and as I did before, I'm not gonna take much time on making the layout. So I'm just gonna directly paste the layout like this, and there are one text field and a button, and the method is that triggers when the confirm button, when we press the confirm button, is this. Inside this method we have to do few things. The first one is confirm the code, and the second thing is we have to re-log in to the system. In Amplify, the user must log into the system after confirming the code, but the user does not expect such thing, so we have to do it manually. After that, we will save the user details in the data store. First, I'm gonna take the confirmation code from the text field like this, find the text field by the ID, and then cast it to edit text variable. Then there's a method to confirm the sign up. In that method, we have to provide the email, but in this activity there is no email field, but the email is from the join activity, so we have to pass that value to email confirmation activity. We can do that using intent. So I'm just gonna use intent put extra and then give the key value as email string. These key values must be same, and then take the email value like this. So I'm gonna get the text field. After that, we can create a email method like this to get the email address. After that, yeah, we can get the intent and then get the extra string like this, and we have to pass the key value, key name. Okay, and as the next step, we should provide the confirmation code, and I'm gonna get the confirmation code like this. After that, we have to implement the success method. I'm just gonna create the name it like on success. After that, we should provide the when something error occurred, so we should do implement that also. So I'm gonna create the method like this, two methods like this, and then in the success method we have to re-log in to the system. Okay, so I'm gonna create a simple method called re-login, and inside this re-login method I have to provide the email value and the password in order to log into the Amplify. Okay, so the email and the password was from the previous activity, so we already got the email, but we have to get the password from the previous activity. So I'm gonna put the extra string like this. Okay, get the email value and the password like this. Remember the key value must be same. Okay, then get the password. For that I'm gonna create a method, then I'm gonna create the method like this. Okay, then get the intent and get the string extra. Okay, so we must return the value like this. Same thing we should do in email method, getting email. After that, we will execute amplify auth.signin method, and for that we should provide the username, the password, and when the user successful login, we will create a method to handle the event. Yeah, when some error occurred, we should run the same error. I mean, we can use the same method to handle the error, show the error message like this. Okay, so then I'm gonna paste the same thing to show the error message. After that, what we have to do is we should save the user details to the Amplify data store. So we can do that using Amplify data store.save method. And yeah, I'm gonna get the current user ID using Amplify auth.get current user and get user ID. Okay, we have got the user ID. Next thing we want to get is the name of the user. So it was also from the previous activity, so we can get it using by passing the name using intent. Okay, so get the intent. Okay, then put the name like this, put the name. Okay, so I'm gonna create a method to get the name, get the name using intent. And then finally we can save the user details using Amplify data store and save method. Okay, first we should build the user object. We can use user.builder id, then provide the user id as the name. We will give the name. Okay, then give the build method, and then we should provide the on saved success method, and we will create a new method for that. After that we will create another method to handle the error. We can use the same method as before. Okay, so when we successfully log in, successfully save the details, we can finally go to chat activity. So I'm gonna create a new intent as before and get the application context. Now pass the current object using this, and then pass the chat activity class, and then start the activity. Okay, it's time to test our app. Okay, when we go to join method, I'm gonna give the use name, email, and the password like this. If we press the join button, we should receive an email code. Okay, I got it. So I'm just gonna pass the code that I received. So then I'm just gonna put some breakpoint to make sure that is executed successfully. Just gonna press the confirm button. Now we are on the success method. That means we have the code is correct, and then when we should we got the next pass from login success. Then that means we have saved the details in the data store. Let's implement chat activity. First of all, I have created two layout to show messages. First one is sent, and it has a background like this, the orange one, so beautiful orange one. And there are parameters like message content and message date to show the date, and the next one is message received component, and we have a background, dark background. And as you can see, we got name parameter and date and message content. Okay, let's implement the chat activity layout. I have created a component called list view, and to show the messages, and there's a text field and there's a button to send the messages. I'm gonna put some background like this, and then put some on click method like this. Let's implement that. Okay, so before implement a chat activity, we should create an adapter for our chat list view. This adapter can manipulate the messages inside the list view. So I'm gonna create a new class called chat adapter and put it inside adapter package. After that, I'm gonna extend the class using array adapter. And the type of the array adapter is the message model. So we're going to use it like this. I'm going to override the third constructor like this. After that, we should override the get view method. This method is called every time when a new message is rendered. So I'm gonna remove the default one. First, we should get the currently rendered message. We can do that using getItem and pass the position variable. After that, we should check whether the message is from currently login user or not. So we can check by using amplify auth.getCurrentUser and getID. After that, we will assign it to a new variable, that decision, like this. Put some if-else statement. We need an layout layer to render the message component. So we can use get context and get system services, and after that we can create the view of the component, message component, using layout layer, and we should pass if the user, if the message from current user, we should render message sent layout. Pass the parent value, assign it to new variable. After that, if the user if the message is not from currently login user, we will render message receive layout. So we should have a common variable value, and if the user is not from currently login user, we should print out, we should show the name of the user. So we can do that using by getting the name variable like this. I'm gonna get the text view value. Okay, as you can see, we will get the name view, text view value. Okay, then after that we will set text as the name. We will set the name of the user. Okay, for both view, even if it is from currently user or not, we should print, we should show the message content as well as the date. So first I'm gonna create new, I'm gonna get the message content and the date content, date text view, using find by id, find view by id, like this. After that we will set the relevant text value. Finally, we will return the view object. We configured the adapter. So next thing is, in the chat activity, the first one is we have to set the adapter to the list view, and the second one is get the previous message from the backend of the Amplify, and then as third step we should receive the new messages. So as the first step, I'm gonna set the adapter. First I'm gonna get the list text view object, then create an instance of chat adapter. So I'm gonna create a instance field like this. Okay, then assign a new object to it. As the first step, first parameter, I will give the application context. After that, I'm gonna give the ID of the list view. After that, I have to provide the array list. So I'm gonna create new private field which is array list of messages. Name it as messages and then pass it to chat adapter. I made a mistake in chat adapter, so I have to give array list instead of an array. So finally we can set the adapter to the message list view like this. Message list view dot set adapter. Okay, as the second step, we have to get the previous messages. So I'm gonna create a new method for that. I'm gonna name it as like this, and inside this we have to get amplify data store and query. First one is set the type, and the first type is message.class. After that we have to put the where clause like this. So this where clause, like we can sort the thing and we can do more like this. So in our case we will sort the messages and we will sort by date in ascending order. After that, whenever we successfully get the messages, we will add those messages to the array list that we created before, and we have to do it inside running UI thread method, and we will iterate the messages like using while loop, and we can get the messages using messages.next, and we have to add this message to the array list we have created. Messages, I'm gonna rename it like this, so just to not be confused at the message. And then we have to notify these changes to this adapter, our chat adapter. So we can do that using chat adapter and notify changed. And finally, if some error occurred, we will print out, actually for now we will throw the error message using throwable get print stack trace. Okay, now we have get the new messages. Next thing we want to do is listen to the new messages that we receive from the server. So we can use amplify data store and observe method, and inside this we will provide the type of the observation. So we will pass the model class which is messages, and then when the observation start, we will print out observation begin log value, and then whenever we receive a new message, we have to print out we will pass this on message received method, and then after that whenever some failure occurred, we will print out the error message, and when the observation is completed, we will print a log message. So this observation method can be triggered any time whenever something happen in the data store. So there are type of these messages, so which are create, update, and delete. So for now we only need to trigger this method when some create event occurred. So we will check whether it is create type or not. So then we will get the message. After that we will add the message to the array list. Okay, completed. And then we can run this on. We have to notify the changes to the chat adapter using this method. Notify dataset changed. Okay, as for the final step, we have to implement a message send method. So first of all, I'm gonna take the text field content. The text field content is we can get it from this text field, and yeah, first I'm gonna get the text field by ID, then get the message content. After that we have to check whether this message content is empty or not, and then we have to create a message object using builder method. Then we have to provide a user object. So to do that, let's just let's just get the current user from amplify auth dot get current user, and I'm gonna take the current user. Okay, so in order to pass an object, we can use user dot just id. This just id can be used to only to specify id, so we don't need to mention the name and the other field, like only need to mention the primary key. So we can, the primary key is use id, so we can get the id like this. Then we can pass the date value, and we can create a temporal date time object, and we can pass the current date using by creating new date object, and we have to get the offset. So in order to get the offset, we can create a method. I'm going to create a Georgian calendar, and then get the time zone from the calendar. After that we have to get the raw offset, and then we will assign it to a new variable. After that we have to convert this offset to the second. This raw offset is from is represented using milliseconds, so we have to convert it to second. Okay, then as for the next field, we will give content, and I can get the content from text field, and then we will build it, and then we can trigger the method amplify data store save, and we will pass the message object, and as the first parameter we will print out when the message saves successfully. We have to create a method for that, and then whenever some error occurred, we have to implement that also. So for now we will print out message like this. One more thing is needed to be done, which is we have to initialize this array list. So I'm gonna assign a new array list and then test the app. Okay, let's send the first message. I'm gonna type some sample message like hi, and okay, now yeah, as you can see, some exception has occurred, but the work is done. So let's send another message. Yeah, and so now it's working fine. And okay, as you can see, when we send the message, the text field will not get empty. So we can fix this issue by setting the empty string after we send the message. Okay, now I am using another device. This is my mobile device. So I'm gonna send from left side a message. Hello, I am the new user, like that. And as you can see, it has shown at the right side phone. So yeah, just a conversation, and we can send emoji also. It support emoji. We don't need to do any additional configuration to make it support well. Yeah, so now as you can see, we pretty much made the everything we want. So that's it. I hope you guys understand this. If you feel this video very useful, make sure to subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.